Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome to your webinar with Career Map. Today we're going to be talking about our apprenticeship programmes here at EY. So we will begin. Perfect. So hello, first of all, my name is Cassie and I am from the student recruitment team here at EY. I work on the campaigns team. So basically what I do is I speak with students much like yourselves. I host webinars like today, host workshop and events and partnerships with various different companies, and we discuss our apprenticeship opportunities, also our recruitment, what kind of programs that we have on offer here at EY. So my role is very varied day to day, and that's one of the things that I love about working for EY. On the call today, I also have my colleague Megan from our student recruitment team, who is based in London. Megan will be controlling our chat box function, so if you do have any questions throughout the webinar today, you can use the chat box function and Megan will get to them as soon as possible. Otherwise, we do also have a Q&A session included in the webinar today, so you can hold off and you can ask your questions to our amazing apprentice panel. So we have a jam-packed session today in the webinar, and we'll go through the agenda just now. So at the moment we are welcoming you to the webinar, and we'll then go into a get to know us session, so who we are at EY. We'll also be discussing EY on a global scale. We'll get to know our teams as well through our high performing teams part, and we'll go through our service lines. We'll get to know the culture of EY and what it might be like to work with us, and then we will also have a Q&A panel where you will get to meet some of our current business apprentices. You'll be able to ask them what it's like in a day in the life, working with us, and all those kind of questions, maybe what their experience was like through the recruitment process. And then we will also go into our apprenticeship opportunities and work experience programs. We'll then have a look at our application process and what live roles that we have at the moment, and then we will close on how to contact us and for any next steps that we have in your kind of application journey with our apprenticeships or our career starters program, and we'll also have some time at the end for any final questions that you might have. So I hope that you do enjoy today's webinar session. If you do have any questions, then again, please use the chat box function, or you can ask our apprentices during our Q&A panel. But we will just go to the next slide. So let's have a look at who we are, EY, on a whole. So we really truly are a global firm with over 400,000 employees based across the world, and that spans across 700 offices, and we are growing all the time, and we span across 150 countries. What's really exciting is that the number's grown considerably over the past 10 years, and we do expect it to grow even further in the future. Although we're living in a time of great uncertainty, what hasn't changed is the need for uniquely human abilities to offer insight and empathy while using technology as an impact. And our people are so important to us, and we work with over 200,000 clients across the globe, including some of the world's most iconic brands and exciting entrepreneurs as well. So the opportunities that we have at EY are huge. You've got the opportunity to work with some really iconic clients as well, and across our global function. Our ambition is to deliver long-term value for our clients, people and society, and we do this through creating value, so we can help with today's challenges as the world kind of moves. We're really client facing as well in the way that we interact with our clients, and we work in innovative times, and we use technology as well with all of our clients, and we're really forward facing with that as well. We empower all of our clients on an international level, and we empower all of our employees as well to really have a think about how their career opportunities are going to grow with EY, and you can seek out experiences once you've joined the firm as well, and you can really shape yourself into transformative leaders. So yeah, it's really exciting times at EY, and we've got a massive amount of people working for us across the globe, and we are growing all the time. Go to next slide. So let's talk about EY UK specifically, because although it's great to know us on a global scale, EY UK, we are growing again, and we are always growing. So last year we had over 2,000 new joiners join the firm. 200 of those 2,000 new joiners were apprentices, and the number of apprentices that we look for is growing year upon year. So there's always exciting opportunities for new business apprentices to join the firm. All of our new apprentices join across our 17 local UK offices, and all of our offices offer a unique experience. Every office is different. We've got our offices in London, which are iconic. So one of them is at London Bridge, and we've got another one in Canary Wharf, but our regional offices are always in city centre locations. They've always got really lovely views. I'm actually in our Glasgow office today. It's always a really great experience coming into the office. You get to work across different teams and really work collaboratively across different teams. And it's always really great to come into the offices to get to know new people and things like that as well. But we'll go into culture in a little bit more detail as we go through the presentation. So let's think about our high performing teams. So high performing teams are basically our different departments at EY. And we've got our assurance teams, we've got our tax teams, we've got strategy and transaction teams, and we've also got consulting teams. So they're what we call our service lines, and they're really important to us as a business, and it's how we organise ourselves within our business. So we've got a variety of different business support functions, and within that we've got highly specialised teams, which includes our financial services operation. We've got our core business services, we've got client technology, and we've got our global delivery services as well. And our competitive advantages that we bring the whole of EY to our clients, and our service lines, and these high performance teams work collaboratively across the entire function. So let's go into our different service lines in a bit more detail. So we'll start with assurance. Assurance is our biggest service line globally. They work to make sure businesses are protected from risks that can affect their reputation and performance. Our external auditors help companies and governments to publish accurate financial accounts, so that others can rely on them, and we build a better working world through that, and that's all through our reputation with working really closely with clients. So a little bit into what an assurance person that works for assurance would do. So they would be getting to know their clients, their business, and how they work. You'd be testing checks and balances to ensure that they work that they work well, that they're working properly, and that they're true and accurate. You'd be analysing the data that goes into financial statements to make sure that it's true and fair, and you might be spending some time travelling to different offices and client sites. So what we find is a lot of our colleagues that work within the assurance teams, they often work on client sites, or they might be working on external audits, maybe not at a client's office, but maybe at a different location for their client. So they have to be working flexibly. So the sectors within assurance include audit, insurance, banking, capital markets, data analytics, and government and public sector. So you can imagine that it is a massive part of our business, with all these kind of different sectors that are specific to assurance. If we move on to tax. So the tax team work with banks and insurance companies, and they help clients understand tax rules better, as well as use technology to improve their processes to support companies. Maybe if they're merging or buying another company, merging that together. If you think about that, that might have quite a lot of tax implications. In a kind of general sense, if you were to be working in tax, you'd be working within a team, and you'd be working within a team to understand challenges that your clients might face and helping them to address those challenges. So you might be working with companies, banks, insurance companies, etc. But you might also be working with wealthy individuals or entrepreneurs and things like that as well. So the world of tax is really huge. And again, you've got sectors that include audit, tax technology and transformation, private tax, international tax, and transactional services, business tax services, and global and compliance reporting. So again, massive kind of area of our business, and there's always unique challenges that comes in with that. So again, you might be working on client sites, you might be reviewing financial statements, preparing and writing reports, but much like assurance, your communication with your clients every single day is absolutely massive. Oh, sorry. So moving on to strategy and transactions. So within strategy and transactions, we help our clients grow, transform, and be successful through advising them across all aspects of their business. So in this service line, you would be assisting clients who are wanting to go through a process of maybe buying another business, maybe they're selling part of their own, or merging with another business, or transforming themselves to be more competitive. These clients are driven to move their business forward, so it'd be your job to help guide and advise them along the way. So within strategy and transactions, you've got turnaround and restructuring as a sector, and you'd be that key person and really helping them guide their business to be more competitive. So you'd be working in partnership with them. And finally, we have consulting. So consulting is probably our most popular service line. Consulting is where you essentially consult with your client and how they achieve their business goals. So if you're someone who is a very good listener, then you would be very good at a consulting role. There's lots of different areas within consulting, which includes technology consulting, you've got business remediation, you've got risk and anti-money laundering, technology, data analytics, and intelligent automation. So as you can imagine, with a role like consulting, again, you're working in partnership with that client, and you need to be able to adapt to maybe different personalities within clients, different cultures, different working styles. So that communication, time management piece is really important when working within consulting. And you need to have a great attention to detail as well. So let's talk about what it would be like to work for EY as a whole. For me, working for EY, with the culture at EY is great. My kind of personal experience in terms of my working career so far, this is the first time I've ever been in a Big Four environment. I was very nervous about joining a Big Four environment, but I can truly say with just over a year under my belt at EY, the culture is one of the things that I absolutely love working here. Everybody does work very collaboratively across teams. Every office I've been in, everyone's been super friendly. You're always encouraged to have innovative solutions and different ideas, and conversations are always really open. So for me personally, that's one of the reasons that I love working for EY. And we do support a great culture, and that's through our different networks. And on the screen here, you'll see that we've got cultural diversity, gender, LGBTQ plus, and disability circles, and they're basically our pillars in terms of what we've got, our different communities and our different networks that kind of sit under. And these are a way for you to be empowered to use your own voice to help others find theirs. and you can join these different networks to really speak to other people that are maybe like-minded like you, and increase your networking within the firm as well. And you can work across different teams through using the networks as well. So I'll go into that in a wee second because we've got more teams, which I will go through now. So although we are a global organisation on a powerful scale, all of our offices work as one in terms with the EY network. So we've got 6 EY networks. We've got our Ability Network, our Life Network, our Women's Network, our Embrace Network, our Race and Ethnicity Network, and our Unity Network, which is our LGBTQ plus network. And you can join any one of these networks if you identify or if you are an ally. And within our offices as well, we've got a really great like socialization. You can join any club that you can kind of see on the screen here, so you can see that there's a whole range of different sports teams, and the reason that we have all these networks and different communities and different clubs that you can get involved in is so that you can communicate with like-minded people. You know, you do come to work obviously to work, but having that socialization piece really helps break down barriers and helps you network across the firm as well, and maybe being on the same netball team or maybe the same football team as people that you maybe don't work with every single day really does help that. So and I know within our Glasgow office, well, across all of our office network, there's typically a social committee. In our Glasgow office, we do different like quiz nights, we'll do pottery classes, and we'll also have like our office Christmas parties and things like that, which is all organised through our social committees. And that's one of the things that I love about EY is that you've got that socialisation piece outside of work as well. And it really does help with networking and things like that too. And that kind of brings us in nicely to our Q&A session. So on the call today, we have some of our business apprentices. So we've got Ellis, Ronan, Rosie and Emily on the call, who are our current business apprentices, and they will be able to answer some questions that you might have from kind of maybe our recruitment, what their experience was with the recruitment cycle, or maybe what it's like to work for EY. They'll be able to answer those questions for you. So have we got Ellis, Ronan, Rosie and Emily in the room with us? Hello, if you guys pop your camera on for me, that would be amazing.
Hiya.
Hello.
I also realised how much of an absolute catfish I am looking at this photo. I did shave all my hair off the other day.
It happens all the time. It happens all the time. Don't worry. So I'll just hand over to you guys if you can do a short introduction to yourselves. If we start with Ellis.
Yeah, hiya. I'm Ellis. I work in the Leeds office, and I work in GCR tax. To kind of give that a.
Amazing. And when did you join the firm, Ellis?
I was started on just last September, so I think the 5th.
Amazing. And Ronan?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, brilliant. There we go. I'm Ronan. I joined in September, like Alice, so I'm a first year business apprentice, and I'm in audit in the Manchester office.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. And Rosie?
Hiya. So I'm Rosie. I'm currently sitting in our people consulting practice within London. I'm actually a graduate of the Digital Apprenticeship programme, so happy to kind of answer any questions about what the future looks like and what happens after you kind of graduate from the scheme.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. And Emily?
Hiya, I'm Emily. I'm based in our Manchester office, but I'm originally from Liverpool, you might be able to tell. I'm an audit apprentice and I also joined in September.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining. So we've got one, I can just see a couple of questions coming in. So we've got a question from Ruby. So what are EY looking for in their consulting apprenticeships? So Rosie, I know that obviously you are in consulting. You got a wee bit of advice for this?
Yeah, happy to jump in on this one. So I think for consulting, what's really important is you're just showing your kind of willingness to learn and be really broad. So depending on what you're working on, it will depend on what part of consulting you're in. So I actually sit within one of our digital innovation teams. So I get to work on things like the metaverse and AI and building out avatars and chatbots, which is something you wouldn't necessarily associate with consulting. So there's so many different opportunities, even within just one service line, of the types of projects you could be working on. And obviously we work across sector as well. So it's really good to be quite open-minded, having a broad range of skills, but also if there is something you want to specialize in, knowing that at the start. So you could come in and say, I want to work with big sports companies, and we can kind of find projects and you'll get put on those for that because you're interested in it. So there aren't any necessarily direct skills you need for something within the consulting line, but it's good to have that really broad approach and be excited by kind of what you're working on.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that answer, Ruby. And I'm just going to piggyback off the back of that as well. In terms of what we look for our apprenticeships from our recruitment kind of standpoint is that you are yourself, that you bring that across in an interview as well. That's so important. We want everybody to be comfortable to be themselves so that they can offer the best to their clients. Has anybody else got any advice about maybe what they experience throughout the recruitment cycle, what what you think has helped you? Anybody else to the panel?
In terms, oh, go on, Alice. You
No, you go. Go on.
All right, I'll go first then. So I think in terms of skills, I think it's quite difficult because I obviously applied when I was 17. I'm now 18. So to have tangible things that you can demonstrate would be amazing because it's quite difficult to have them apart from your GCSEs. So other interests and hobbies, but more so skills that can translate into work. So if you, for example, play football outside of school, you can say the skills you've learned from that teamwork and how that would translate into work would be very helpful, is what I'd say.
Yeah, like using things like football is a great example. Like you can show leadership through that. You can show working like within a team and things like that. So no, that's a really great point. Thank you so much. So we've got another couple of questions just coming into the chat. So we've got a question on here in regards to forensic accountants. Alex, we will come back to you on that question. We've got a question here from Cosmin. I would like to hear more from Rosie about what excites you in your future role.
Good question. So what's really good about the apprenticeship program is regardless of what course you pick, you get to rotate your role, you'll get to try lots of different opportunities. And what's really great about that is if you're doing a role you're not so keen on, or if you're working on a client that you don't enjoy, you'll get to try something else. So what's really good is EY kind of follow this philosophy through into their projects. So once you graduate, even though you might be working on something you don't like as much, or if you're working on a project you really do and you really enjoy, you've got the autonomy over your own career path. So you can pick and decide and drive what teams you want to work on, what projects, and kind of keep growing and building your career. So since I've graduated, I've become a product manager in my team. I'm now managing my own kind of people. I've also got a counsellee as well. So something that is really passionate. I enjoy those kind of things. So that's what kind of excites me and keeps me going, is it's going to be different, but you've got the power to kind of choose and pick what you want to work on. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you so much, Rosie. Does anybody else want to add anything to that? What excites you about the future in your role? Maybe Emily, if you had a wee think about, I know you're in your first year, you had to think about where EY can take you in terms of your career path.
Yeah, I think the main thing for me is all of my friends went to uni. So I think seeing the development that I'm having compared to just going to uni that excites me, because you're working at the same time and you're working with people who have so much more experience than you. And even though you'll look at things and think, I don't have a clue what's going on, you learn something new every single day. Like, I'm constantly learning. And I think that's what excites me about this job.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that input. And I think that comparison about your friends going to university, you'll have that additional networking piece by the time that they graduate. You'll have 4 years of work experience under your belt, and that's just invaluable, which is just fantastic. Ronan, Ellis, do you have anything to add to those points?
I think I was looking at Roland to make sure to see if his mouth moved first. I think it's exciting because EY very much has a focus on forwards moving. It's not a case of you become stagnant and then you think, oh, what's going to happen? You look at EY and whether it's within, I can only talk from a tax point of view, but business wide, it'll be the same mindset of you progress and progress and progress. And I think Emily put it perfect of you never don't learn. I have looked at so much stuff. We are currently in audit, will be in busy season, we're in busy season, but I'm looking at things and I have no idea what's going on. But I work with so much talent and it's so easy to ask for help and kind of understand that. And I think sometimes you sometimes have to step back and be like, there's so much here. But you do eventually get through it, and it's exciting in a way. And I think Emily put it perfectly that all my mates went to uni. They're dotted here, there, and everywhere. And you see so much that you see yourself progressive as a person, not just like professionally and understanding all these complicated things which you can't exactly nonchalantly drop into conversation so much. But you do know that you've got almost like this specified knowledge, and it's something you see yourself progress, and it excites me to see how quickly you progress for going forwards.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for your input there. And I totally agree. In terms of what an apprenticeship's going to offer you, you've got all those additional networking pieces. But with you saying, Ellis, about you being in the same room as like such great talent is just amazing. You've got that opportunity to ask senior managers and partners questions, and you're working really closely with different people in their offices. So that kind of experience is just invaluable. So thank you so much for everybody's input there. I've got a really great question regarding our assessment centre. So what advice can you offer for anyone who will be going through an assessment centre, and how can you stand out? So we'll start. Emily, how did you find your assessment centre? Have you got any advice for anybody on the call today?
So I joined EY through Career Starters, and that was basically, I think we're talking about it later. I think that's going to get explained, but that is basically like a 2-day assessment centre. You're just not told that it's a 2-day assessment centre. But I basically just be yourself, because that's all they're looking for. You can't pretend to be someone else, because you're not going to be able to keep it up. You can maybe pretend for a day, but it'll just catch up with you. And they really just want to see you as a person. It really doesn't matter where you come from, what qualifications you've got. If you're a nice person, if you can speak to people, you'll do well.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. And we'll get on to career starters in the kind of next few slides. Ronan, have you got anything to add to that?
No, it's really just to echo what Emily said. I think if you were to pretend to be someone you're not, you might end up joining a firm that's not for you, and you'll be in an awkward environment for a long time. So it really is important, not just to get through the stages, but to find the place that's right for you.
Yeah, I think being yourself is so important throughout the application process, from every kind of stage of it, because you do need to make sure it's the right fit for yourself as well, just as you said. So we've got a couple of questions regarding different programs that we have. We've had ones from with like marketing and different things like that. We will answer those questions in the chat box function. We've got Megan who is monitoring that, so we will get to them. We've got a really interesting question here. So what differs you from other financial apprenticeships from our competitors? Rosie, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So For me, I think it's part of the culture and the people. So when I joined, within 2 weeks, I joined the Women's Network, I joined the netball club. I suddenly had all these things that I was getting a part of. And, over my time as an apprentice, I think I've won the EY Bake Off twice. Baking's one of my favorite things to do, so that's really exciting. I've even abseiled down the inside of the office. So it's all those little bits outside of the day job that make it really exciting and kind of stand out based on our competitors as well. I also think it comes down to the people in your team. I've never worked with anyone who's been horrible or mean. Everyone's so supportive. We've got such a good support network at EY. So I don't know if you'll cover this later, but things like your counsellor, so you'll have one-to-one sessions with them every month. They're there to kind of guide and help you through your process, as well as kind of everyone at EY has one. You'll also get a buddy when you join. So that's the person you can ask any question to. Where do I get my pencil from? Anything even basic like that. And then obviously you've got your team members who'll be there to kind of support you, give you training, bring you up to speed on everything you need. So for me, it's the people and definitely the culture and just the ability to kind of enjoy and get involved in things that interest you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. We've got a question here from Cosmin. How long does the apprenticeship programme last? I know different service lines have got different lengths. Does anybody want to take this question?
I'm happy to input. And also, just to build on the last point, by the way, to kind of what sets us apart, just to kind of echo what Rosie said, I made the very smart decision the other day in a meeting with 3 partners, myself and another level 1, to say that I actually did the entire thing with PwC, who is one of our main competitors. I kindly said that I actually planned on joining them first, which was very smart from me. But I think it genuinely is a case, and I think it says from me, my older brother works for PwC. That was the reason why I went down that avenue. It just kind of made sense. But it was genuinely a case of the only reason and the main reason I applied to EY over any of the other big 4, whether it's Deloitte, PwC. I did apply to them, I'm not going to lie. But I think everybody in a room...
Everyone does.
Yeah, everyone does it. But the reason I did want to go with EY was genuinely because of the people. I remember coming in on my first day and I talked to 2 people called Merv and Mo, who are now what I know very, very senior partners in our tax department, and they were so welcoming, and it's something that you don't feel. But to get to the actual question, without me tangenting too much, the apprenticeship program that I'm on will last 4 years. At the end of it, I will be a chartered accountant, which is a statement in itself, and I will also get the equivalent of a master's degree at university. I know if you join through doing a uni degree, I'm saying Rosie can back me on this, it's 3 years course. It's a bit more intense, and you do it with ICAS rather than ICAEW, who we do it with, and it's divided by, I want to say the grads is about 12, 13 exams. We do 15 exams as business apprentices, and that is just because of how the course is structured. There's nothing much in it. It's just that ICAS is developed for more intense and kind of, I know that people who have done come from graduation, they've done 5 exams already. I don't know if Rosie and Ronan agree. I've only done 1 exam. We've only done 1 exam, but that very much so ramps up, and then you find out after 4 years, you hopefully get qualified.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Ellis. Does anybody have any additional to add to that?
Yeah, I'll just kind of add on to that. So mine was slightly different because it was a digital degree apprenticeship. So it was slightly different structured. We'd have study days 1 day a week, and then we'd be in kind of 10-week blocks to complete a course. So whether that would be a coursework, an exam, or a combination of both. Mine, I think, was actually 4 years as well. So it fully depends on what service line you're applying for. That will also depend on what university provider you go with. But you do get kind of a nice graduation at the end. You get that stamp. So I do have my degree now. And there's obviously lots of other training and courses you can get involved in outside of your apprenticeship program as well. So it just depends on what course you're applying to.
Amazing. And for full details of our kind of service line specifics and things like that, you can find all that information on our website. It's specifically laid out in terms of what you would expect in terms of apprenticeship length, etc. And that's all on our website. So we'll share links to that at the end. In the kind of last slide, we've got links and things. So we've got a question here from Anna. What happens if I unexpectedly mess up on one of the exams? Anybody want to answer this question? Do you get resets? Is there anything like that?
So you kind of have a couple of lives, I'd say, in like, if that's the way to explain it. You can get a reset. I think as an apprentice, you can have 2, maybe 3. I think it depends on your situation. I think if you're failing them again and again, and like every single one you're failing at least once, your likelihood of getting another reset just goes down. But if you're smashing all your exams and then you accidentally fail one of them, it's not really a big deal. You get another reset, and as long as you pass it again, you're fine.
And you've got all the guidance and support there as well. So you've got, do you want to touch about like support that you get from your counsellor, your buddy, or anything like that?
Yeah, so you have a buddy who's the year above you, and they're basically there for anything. They're probably doing exams the same time you're doing exams, so they get your situation. They understand how you feel. And then you have a counsellor who's qualified. I think they're normally qualified. But they're like, my counsellor's basically my best friend. Like, I follow her around everywhere and she tells me everything. But they're basically there just to support you with anything. And if you do fail an exam, they're the people you go to. And they're the people who will help you rebook your exams and help you with your revision and stuff like that. And then you also have a student coach within EY who is literally just for exams. And you have, I think it's every 6 months, you have a catch up with them. They talk to you about how your qualifications go and how you're doing with your work. And then if you do fail an exam, they'll also help you. And if you need extra support from the college that you go to, they can get you extra support from them too.
Amazing. Thank you so much for explaining that, Emily. Does anybody have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to add that nobody at work wants you to fail your exams. So it's a case of you'll be given time to study, you'll have your 20% off the job hours, you'll have all the resources available to you. Like Emily said, you've got an amazing support network in place. And it is a case of sitting down with your counsellor if things are getting too much. If you need to start putting more work in on weekends around kind of your study, that's entirely up to you. But nobody wants you to fail, everyone wants you to succeed. So, you know, you have got that support network in place.
Yeah, exactly. And as you said, Rosie, you've got that 20%. So the way that apprenticeships work is 20% of your time will be dedicated to study. And at EY, we make sure that that is put in place. So you'll have study leave and things like that embedded into your kind of, if you were to look at your schedule for the entire year. We want you to pass. We don't want you to fail. So we'll be helping you every single step of the way and making sure that you've got all the resources there. And if you do make a mistake, everybody makes mistakes, and we'll look at your mistakes and we'll fix them and we'll work through them. But we do want everybody to pass, obviously. So we've got time for one final question, and I suppose this is a really nice question for the group. How do you find work-life balance? 'Cause I know some of you are first-year apprentices. I'll be interested to see how you found that from coming out of school and then coming into a work situation. Ellis, do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, I think for me it's interesting you ask, because I'm on quite a big audit at the moment, and then we've just come up from Edinburgh, which is probably about a good hour away from myself. And I think last week I did something like 76 hours or something, so I did a ridiculous amount of work and not a lot of life balance. And I remember looking back on it, and it's probably not the best for me mentally. I think the best thing that I'd advise to people is you feel often when you're like, obviously at this level, you feel like you've got to do a lot. You feel like you've got to perform. You feel like you've got to meet an expectation. And I feel like nobody in the slightest is telling you to do that. We just internally think it. And I think a lot of how to manage your work-life balance is kind of saying no. So for me, the way I look at it is, unless we're in busy season, Monday to Friday, Saturday and Sunday, my weekend is like my time. That's ultimately, no one touches my weekend. That's like my rules. I've got that set. I say Saturday, Sunday, that's me. Whether I want to watch the football or I want to lay in bed or I want to just do now, that's got all to do with anything. That is my time. Monday to Friday, you can have me. That's completely fine. But Saturday and Sunday, for me, that is where I put my foot down and basically say no. Don't get me wrong, that obviously comes with the last 3 weeks. I've worked a couple of days over the weekend, but I do that because over 3 weeks I have to work the odd couple of weekends, but over the rest of the 49, I get completely and only that is my time, and I dedicate that to basically saying it's my time. And I'm always happy on that odd occasion to work the weekend, because I'm saying, and by the way, don't let me put you off and think everyone works weekends. You really, honestly, it's not the case, and it's not even installed. It's just we had a very, very quick turnaround. But very much so making things known like it's your time. If you need like an hour out of the day, people let you have an hour out of the day. If you need time to re-establish your entire mindset, I do it sometimes. I look at something for so long and I'm there in work that I know I need to take a little detox. So whether it comes 5 o'clock and I've got to say, listen, I'm done, it's always working about basically, it's balancing of making sure you're still doing the things you love and making sure work kind of doesn't, because it's so easy. We all do it Monday to Friday, work, so we've become so like eloped and kind of consumed by it that sometimes we forget. So for me, it's very much about putting your foot down and basically saying, this is where I want to go watch the football, I want to go do what I want to go see my mates, I want to go to the pub. Basically, you make that for yourself and make sure you make that priority, because only when you're working at your best is when you are the happiest, and you get, don't get me wrong, as much as work makes you happy, you often find yourself much more happy when you are with the things you are with people and doing the things that you love. So making sure you make that top priority is a big thing for me.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for that, Ellis. And I think with what you said, with making sure that you've got your time and your time is your time, is really, really important, especially if you are making that jump from maybe a school up to an apprenticeship, and having that and remembering that there's life outside of work, and that is just as important as what work is. That is really, really important. Does anybody else have anything to add on that? We've got maybe 4 minutes left of the Q&A session. How do you manage your work-life balance? Interesting to hear how you find it, Ronan.
So I'd say communication is very important. So my counsellor, she's an assistant manager, so she's a very, very, very busy person all year round. And something that she told me was communicating when you're going to do something. For example, during the day, she'll go for a run because she was doing a fitness challenge in January. So she would schedule out an hour and a half during the day, during the 9 till 5 or 9 till however long she was doing. And she made sure that everyone was aware of that. So obviously in audit, there's a specific objective we need to get out, the financial statements. So it's very outcome based. So how you work flexibly during the day can change. But as long as you're reaching targets, it doesn't matter so much within the day when we're getting them. As long as you're doing your meetings and communicating okay, it can be quite flexible. Like today I'm working from home because I've got commitments this evening, and that's fine. It saves me the commute. So communication is probably the most important part, I would say.
Definitely, that's amazing. Anybody else got anything to add before we round up the Q&A?
Yeah, just to touch on what Ronan said there about the fact even between us, some of us are in the office, some of us are at home. So it really depends on kind of your day. You'll have control over that. Obviously, when you start, it's really good to be in the office most of the time. It's a lot easier to just poke the person next to you and ask a question. But kind of as you progress throughout your career, you get more autonomy over kind of where you want to work and how you want to control your time. For me, I've now started working on a project with a lot of people in the US. So that means a lot of my calls and a lot of my time is now shifted towards the evening. But that means I can then kind of take a bit of time back in the morning, go for a run, take my dogs out, something like that, because I have autonomy over my day. Like Ronan said, as long as you're meeting your deliverables and getting everything done, then you've kind of got the power to kind of shift things around. And it's really good to be transparent. So lean on kind of the network and community you have, just making sure people are aware of kind of any changes that happen. I will say that when it gets to kind of deadlines and study, when you are balancing both that study side and the work, it obviously can get stressful, but that's when you just lean on your network and can kind of reprioritize what you're working on versus what studying needs to be done. Like we said already, no one wants you to fail. Everyone's there to support and help you. So it's just a case of putting your hand up or reaching out for support.
Yeah, definitely. That communication piece is so important, I think, just across the board. And even out with your apprenticeship, it is still really important to have that open line of communication about how your work-life balance is, how you're finding it in terms of your kind of day-to-day work and things like that as well. So thank you so much for highlighting the importance of that with everyone. And thank you so much for your time and your input. I really appreciate you all taking time out of your very busy days. I know it's busy season for some of you. So I really do appreciate that. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. If we do have any additional questions, please put them into the Q&A, the chat box function, and we will get to them as soon as we can. But thank you so much for joining us to the panel. You can now turn your camera off. You can leave the call. But thank you so much for your time today.
See you later.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.